What?
We grow a lot of things because my dad likes growing stuff.
Do you like growing stuff?
Yeah.
Do you? What's your favorite thing to grow?
All the things.
All the things? Like what?
All the things in our garden.
Like what? What's your favorite?
When we eat stuff. Like corn.
Is the corn your favorite?
That's good.
And radishes. And carrots.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Nothing else I can think.
How about green beans?
Yeah.
And peas? How about beets?
Grapes.
Oh, grapes. I'm excited.
Beets
for
are
grapes
obviously
too.
Dawn's favorite.
Strawberries. Strawberries. We have strawberries.
It's so embarrassing for her, for sure.
Strawberries. We have strawberries.
It's confusing because people think that it's supposed to be nature's beets party pooper, but it's nature's party pooper beets. Do you get it?
No, nobody gets it.
Everybody gets it. It's hilarious. Anyways.
I hope you grow
I'm very
stuff.
proud of it. My sister made it for me because I was like, I need a shirt that says this. It was actually Reagan inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Do you remember, Reagan? What happened after you ate beets? Anyways.
We like to grow a lot of stuff in the garden. And there's a fire in the trees.
That's actually what we were going to talk
The
about.
perfect segue.
The fire in the trees. We've got a fire started in our trees. Firefighters are out there. Not sure how it started. Oh man, it's pretty bad. We don't know if a neighbor was lighting off fireworks or what. Honestly, we have no idea. The kids weren't out there, so it wasn't them. Yeah, we're laughing at the moment, but we weren't laughing a few days ago. We had quite the kind of tragedy, disaster. What would you call it, Kelsey?
There's a disaster in
Emergency.
An emergency, yeah.
Because there was a big fire.
There was a big fire in our trees. So Kelsey called me on, I guess it was July 2nd, and it was like just before noon when she called me, and she was like, there's a fire in our trees, and I can't, like, it's too big, I can't get it out, right? So she had already called 911 to have the fire department come, but, all right, what happened before that, Kelsey, before you called me?
There was a big fire and the rain came and they next week. And then the trees were very burned and the stuff is they try to that's because they burn our house tongue.
We're trying to look for the bright side because at least our hound's tongue weed got burned in the trees. So nice job looking the bright side, Reagan. Okay, now let Mom tell the story, okay? Okay.
I don't know. It was like 11 o'clock, and we were just doing our normal things, and Grant made a comment that he was looking out the window, and he said, those clouds are moving super fast. And so I was by the window anyway. Otherwise, I probably would have been like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have looked, but I was by the window, so I looked, and sure enough, it was smoke. And so I was trying to hurry and throw on my shoes, and he ran out there, and before long, I can just hear him screaming.
Grant?
Yeah. He was screaming, fire, fire, fire everywhere! So, and anyway, so by the time I went out there, it had already gotten pretty big, and there was nothing I could do to stop it at that point, for sure.
So we called.
There were many trees already fully engulfed, and it was spreading so fast. It was so smoky, but it's so dry out in our trees because we just haven't had much moisture, and we have a lot of dead trees that have fallen. The grass is dry, and we have cottonwoods, and they just put off so much cotton that out in the trees it's just like a white ground covering out there. And so once something happened, they they think it was dry lightning. They said there was some dry lightning in the area and it caused some other fires, and so they think it
Like the night
smoldered.
before.
Yeah, they think it smoldered and then finally caught, but once it turned into flame, yeah, there was just no chance because it's so dry.
Yeah, it's been a bad cotton year too, and I think that, like you said, the cotton everywhere, I think that made it go even worse, just because there was cotton all over the ground and everywhere.
That's how it started.
Yeah, that
Like
probably
probably it
didn't
was
help.
too hot.
Maybe so. Yeah. Okay. So you called the fire department, and then they came out.
Yeah, it took them like 25 minutes to get here. We kind of live out away from civilization a little bit, so I called my brother. Don was at work, obviously, so I called my brother, and luckily he was actually just coming home, and so he came over, and we did our best to stamp out the grass as much as we could with sticks and shovels and stuff like that.
Yeah, we tried to get get some water and put on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the kids were trying to do water buckets, but at a certain point we were like, kids, get inside. Like, we don't need something bad to happen with people, like, it's one thing to lose a bunch of trees and, forest land or whatever you would call this.
And over there's
but losing kids or people or burning people is a whole other thing, and we certainly don't want to see that happen. So
Jackson was helping a lot.
yeah, Jackson was a good helper. He's a lot bigger than some of you kids, huh? Okay, so I guess I've got a few things that I want to talk about as far as like what we were grateful we had, as far as like preparedness items that were helpful with the fire. So I want to talk about that. But I also want to talk about like the sequence of events that happened after the initial fire too, because there's a lot going on there. But how do you want to? Which do you want to do first, Kelsey?
I don't care. Either way.
Okay. Well, so a few things that I was grateful we had. So I arrived probably 5 minutes after the fire department. Would you say?
No, probably half an hour.
I don't think. Well, okay.
Because
some of them started over here.
Yeah, they were over here. You pulled up pretty close to the ones on the other side.
Okay. So, okay. Anyways, so as I showed up, they were working on this south side of the trees, trying to get things out in there. And then some more pulled up, like just after me, and they were like, hey, how do we get in past your fence on the other side? So I took them over there. But so this is bringing me up to what I was grateful I had, I guess. So then they couldn't get in on that other side because there was a fence post, like a wooden fence post that was making the gate very small. Like the gate was really only made for cattle to go through and like one regular size pickup truck, not huge fire trucks and the tankers huge. And all that kind of stuff.
Some of those were way huge.
Yeah, and we'll show you videos of all of that, like all the fire trucks that came and those kind of things too. But anyway, so the truck with the chainsaw hadn't arrived yet, so they were like, do you have a chainsaw? I was like, yep. So I ran back to the house, got the chainsaw, I cut the fence post that was in the way, and then a couple of kind of smaller trees that were in the way for getting back into the area where they needed to. Reagan, do you have something you're dying to say something? I can tell. All right, get over where they can see you. Okay, what are you gonna say?
Like when there was like, I don't know how many trucks. There were probably like 7 or 6 or 7 or
Probably
8.
Probably like
20.
20.
There's a lot of trucks. Okay, so that was the first thing I was grateful I had in this situation was a chainsaw. And like as silly as that may sound, that was a great emergency preparedness item in that moment, right, Kels?
Mm-hmm.
Because we had it when we needed it, and it saved, precious minutes when the fire department needed to get in closer to the fire. So that I was grateful I had that. The second thing I was grateful I had is a hose adapter to our irrigation line. So we've got the 3-inch hand line that we move for irrigating the field. And I don't know if most people have it or some people, but if I didn't have it and went through the experience that we just went through, I would want to go get a hose, even if it wasn't necessary for the way that we do irrigation. But for us, it is necessary for how we irrigate. Anyway, so I've got a 40-foot long, 3-inch irrigation hose that fits into our risers. So the reason I was glad that we had that is at one point one of the fire chief or whatever was saying, well, in a little bit we're going to run back to Rigby to refill up and then come back. And I was like, no, you don't need to do that. I've got this hose and I can refill your tender trucks is what they were calling them, the big tanks that they refill the actual trucks that are going out and spraying. So they put 400 gallons in the truck that they would drive out there, and then when they were out of that, they would come back and refill with the tender truck. So I was able to help refill that tender truck with that hose. So I was grateful we had that. They didn't use it a whole lot, but because lots of tankers ended up coming, so they didn't end up needing it. But I was grateful I had it just to save minutes if we needed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell them about like our walking trails and what that did for us.
Yes, Reagan, with your hand.
It saved the whole field, so I didn't get on the other side.
You gotta move your hand.
Yeah.
So you can see.
So the trail helped us so we didn't get on the other side.
Yeah. So we actually spend a lot of time out in the trees. It's kind of our sanctuary out there. We love it. And so we do take a lot of walks and runs out there. And we have trails that we've cut through it. And they're probably like 4 to 5 feet. Anyways.
Wide.
They cut
wide.
trees.
But that's definitely stopped it from spreading. It did jump in some spots still. But closer to our house, it prevented it from spreading this way. So we felt grateful for that, and yeah, but the biggest problem was just that they came and they put out the fire. After like 5 hours they were done, and they left, and then the fire kept coming back. So
they left at like what, 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah, a little after 4.
So noon to 4 they were out there like hosing everything down really well. Like, you know, they put out the fire and then they were hosing it down. They cut down some trees that needed to be cut down so they could be sprayed better. And then they left around 4, and I had gone back to work at this point because the fire was pretty much out and there was nothing I could do, so I went back to work. And then when I got home, they were gone, and we walked around at about 5 o'clock all through the area and kind of looked around, and you know, it seemed to be out. Everything was fine. And then we went to dinner with some friends because they were in from out of town, and you know, we wanted to see them still and thought that everything was kind of okay. Then at like 7:30, our sister-in-law from across the road, who shares the property with us, you know, she went and took a walk out there, and the first lap around, there was no fire, and then she took a second lap and it was like a crazy blaze again. And anyways, so she ended up calling 911, and then we rushed home and helped get everything set up again, and you know, those kind of things. And,
I have a question.
but then they were cutting out there with chainsaws for like 2 hours straight, which was like hurting my heart. You don't think it was that long?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's so sad.
Oh, I don't know.
It's so different out there.
Can
It
I
looks
see
so
a
different.
word?
Yeah, we'll show you a video of that
Can I
stuff.
see this word?
What word?
They're cutting it, and there's some good water in the water, and they covered their path with trees and stuff.
Yeah, so some of the trees that they fell went onto the path, and some of them went into the slough, and anyways, like, it's going to be
Very painful.
an enormous amount of work to like clean up.
Yeah, and we have to Puppy Bird invite some friends to help us?
Yeah, that's a good idea to invite some friends to help us. Speaking of friends, I did want to talk about that too, actually. Like, I don't know, another preparedness item, so to speak. It's not an item, it's people. We had such great neighbors who came to help. Like, a bunch of neighbors showed up just to help. They came with tractors, skidsters, dirt bikes, you know. They were, I don't know, people helping in any capacity that they could. People brought shovels, you know. And I'm grateful to have good neighbors who will step up and help in whatever that way they can. So be good to your neighbors. You never know when disaster strikes, and you want to, you know, be able to bless each other in those situations.
And like, we should cut the old trees because they're probably getting down on fire. Like, old trees.
Well, we didn't sleep very good that night, safe to say. But then, the neighbors just across the way, they ended up calling them back out at 1:30 because there was a new fire. And then at 8 that morning, and when my brother and sister-in-law were taking another walk, we came across several more fires. I
took a walk at 7 in the morning, and I walked all the way through the area before I left for work, and there was nothing at that time, but then at 8.
Then at 5, so at that point I was having the kids take walks every half an hour. I was just having them, and we kept putting stuff out, and then at 5 there was a pretty big one, and then a couple more smoldering spots, and so eventually we just moved our irrigation pipe out there. We don't have great irrigation pipe, which was also a big blessing. The fact that just like a week ago, we bought, my mom bought a whole line of irrigation pipe for one of our rows because our pipe were falling apart, and so we were able to hook up to that new row, the old pipe, and make it work and get some water running out there so that we wouldn't keep having smoldering. Because what happened was, they went out there and they cut all of these trees and branches and things, and there are heaping piles, super big piles of just build-up stuff. So
trapping the heat.
If they've covered something under there that was already like charred and burning, then it takes it a minute, but it will eventually. Just a minute. Anyway, we got the pipe out there and started running that, and then luckily blessings from heaven. It rained. And then it rained some more the next morning, and we could tell walking through that morning that it just was cooler in the trees. It wasn't as hot, and we haven't had any more incidences since. So, but
you put out like 4 or 5 small fires on day 2, right?
Yeah, so it was very stressful. We were very worried that there would be one that would start up, and it just goes up so fast because of all the dry stuff. So, anyways, yeah, it was good to get that over with and not have to worry about a fire anymore.
Yeah. So we basically put like 2.5 runs of the pipeline. So yeah, we've got 3 lines that we move across the field. Anyways, with the new one, the old one, and one other, or part of one other one. So like 2.5 lines essentially. We were able to get all the way out into the area that needed to be. Yeah, it was tricky going through trees and brush and all that kind of stuff, but like it sure helped us sleep a lot better that night, knowing that like there's water on it and it's very unlikely that a fire is going to crop up again, and it didn't. And I was going to say, like, to Kelsey's point, that like, so we got the hand line set up out into the field. We put some branches on, you know, like with the T's in the line to send it different directions to cover the areas that needed to be covered. But then, like, probably 10 minutes after we got it, got the hand line running with water, it did start to rain, and it was kind of some thunder and lightning for a few minutes, but the rain was awesome. And I guess I'll say to that, like, I've heard it said that after you do everything you can do, that's when, you know, God's blessings kick in. And I really believe that. Like, not that God isn't blessing us always, because he is, but, you know, sometimes I know that we have to put forth our best effort first to be able to get the blessings that we're seeking. So I don't know if I'm probably not saying that very well, but I know that God's hand was in kind of protecting us that day too, and I'm grateful for the rain. Okay, anything else we ought to say?
Reagan has a question.
Oh, of course, Reagan's got a question.
When Grant went on a walk and by himself, he found a small fire
Mm-hmm.
on a log. It's already burnt.
Yep. So when the kids were going around, you know, like taking their turn out looking for smoke and stuff, yeah, Grant found it a couple of times. He was probably our best smoke spotter for sure. He was good at it. Okay. Have I missed anything?
Reagan says yes.
What did I miss, Reagan?
You missed about the fireworks. They can't go. Some people can't fit, so they when they're driving straight, they got the grass very good.
The grass? Yeah. So there's some ruts in our field and that kind of thing from those big trucks going through over and over again, you know.
Yeah, we had just watered our hayfield, and so
But it was a little soft, yeah.
Yeah.
But
those are
But-
heavy, big trucks.
yeah,
I've never seen some fire trucks outside.
and that many all in one spot.
Yeah,
They
it's
were
impressive.
the first responders were amazing, you know, the
Yeah.
firefighters and the police officers who showed up. Like,
I just have a great appreciation for them, and I came in so tired after just fighting it for a couple hours and breathing in the smoke and stuff, and I thought, oh man, how do they do this day in and day out? It's so exhausting, but
Yeah.
they're awesome.
I got a question.
What's your question?
There is a lot of people, and there was a lot of fire. There's fires over there, and and there, by our fort, it was a secret fort. They ruined it. And I was
Well, their forts got ruined, dang it. But she is right. There's been a lot of fires in the area. We are super dry. We had a lot of water in the spring, and it made everything tall and green and beautiful. And then we have gone a really long time not getting water. And honestly, even though it rained quite a bit on the 4th of July, it's still, the ground is pretty dry still. So yeah, we're probably gonna have a rough fire season, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know, something else that I've kind of been thinking about too, though, just in this situation. In the spring, our family did a lot of work out in the trees. You know, we're trying to take one section at a time has been our plan, like to get rid of the hound's tongue. So we've been pulling that up and burning it. And in the process of that, we were also gathering down sticks and limbs and branches and bark and whatever else and burning it. This has been a couple months ago, of course, when it was still wet in the spring, but and we were just cleaning the area up. And I'm grateful for that too, because you know, it didn't jump into the area where we had cleaned things up so much. And I don't know, so I think that that's a blessing that it didn't get close to our house really.
Well, and then they were able to get through to go to the fire.
Yeah, and since we had cleaned it up and cut up a lot of the down trees in this area, they were able to get the trucks closer to where the fire actually was. Mm-hmm. So the timing of it was a blessing as well, I would say, like since we had already done a little of that prep work, and that was good. Let's see. What else was I going to say about that? I forgot now.
I don't know, maybe we should say what our plan is, maybe for cleanup or some things we might try exploring.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go talk to the Soil and Water Conservation District and see if there's anything they can do for us as far as like fire cleanup grants or, you know, anything like that might help with reseeding after the fire. I don't know, like just doing some things proactively to see if we can help get it cleaned up, or if there are grants to, you know, rent equipment like wood chippers, and I don't know, a skidster would be awesome, you know, to move some of those big ones around. But we may post on Facebook and just say, hey, anybody who wants slightly burned wood, you know, it's mostly just the bark that's
Yeah.
burned, and that falls off when you split it anyway. So
Yeah.
I think it'll still be decent firewood once it's split. But,
That was the crazy thing about the fire too. A lot of it was up in the trees and not like on the like trunk because of the cotton.
the cotton
So-
and the monkey vine that we have out there that climbs up and
Yeah.
you know just causes problems. But I don't know. We've talked a little bit about if we should get like a few cows or something to graze, you know, the grass down so that the grass doesn't get as long and then therefore as dry and as much fuel for fire to pass along. And I think that that's good land management, but I don't know, we'll have to kind of figure that out with the family and see if that's something we want to do as a family and go from there. But we definitely want to do what we can to be responsible with the land and keep us and our neighbors safe, you know. So yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. That
And
was
I
longer
got
than I
something. I got something.
anticipated.
We didn't know how. We didn't go out in the trees. It just started probably. Cause no one saw smoke and stuff. Grant just said, "I see. Why is that clouds moving so fast?" And Mom went out and see if it was okay, and she saw fire.
Yeah. We are grateful, and we felt like we were not we. I wasn't necessarily here for that part, but like Grant was inspired to look out the window. Kelsey was inspired to actually listen to him and pay attention and look. And then with all the subsequent fires, you know, the people who were out checking it, we were very blessed that we happened across each of the subsequent fires relatively quickly, so that we were able to get them put back out quickly, and it wasn't a bigger issue. Had we not found all of the fires as quickly as we did, it would have been a much different story and much more dangerous, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a question.
All right. Mom, do you have any last minute things? No. All right. Well, good family history for us.
Have a nice day today.
Yeah, have a nice day. Standing on the back porch. So there's fire trucks out there behind the trees, fire trucks in the middle of the trees, fire trucks out there past that lane in the trees, those ones. And then they've got their tank tenders back here refilling. I've got my red irrigation hose hooked up over there so they can refill when they need to. Crazy, crazy. It was stopped this afternoon and then they left, and you know, we were out there checking and it was fine. And then probably like 4 hours after they left, it started up again. This isn't a very good video.
Yeah, it's not really shooting at
Not
all.
focusing.
They're cutting up here.
Cutting everywhere.